Hello, Year 11. I hope you're all well. So, doing something slightly different today, which hopefully will be easier for you all to follow because you're not having to look at my whiteboard. So, dealing with the how question, that's what we're going to look at today. It's a really important question in the language papers. Really applies to both papers, but I'm just going to be focusing on component one today. So, dealing with the how, it's usually question 3. It's always 10 marks. This is really the question where we just start to kind of be able to excel and overperform a little bit in the exam scenario. So, what is the how question about? It will very specifically ask you to analyse how writers create a particular effect. You're being asked to look at what the writer is doing, the choices they have made. So, things that you can consider are what's actually happening, so the content. What is taking place? Is there something dramatic, important, sad, horrific, whatever? What is actually happening that the writer chooses to focus on? The next thing to consider is the language. So any particular words, any particular sentences, any particular moments that you think are worthy of your attention. And then also consider the structure. Does something dramatic happen at the beginning, at the end? Does it start off one way, end totally differently? Do they include dialogue at a particular moment? So think about, for structure, when things happen and the order that they happen in. It's quite an important little element to consider. So the question we're going to be looking at is, how does the writer make this part of the story tense and dramatic? This is a really typical question. This kind of question comes up an awful lot. It will be a 10-mark question, as I've already said, and you should aim for one side of A4 in your writing. Think about layering your quotes carefully. My class will know exactly what I mean by that, but when I say layer, I mean use a whole range of different quotations really relatively closely packed together. You don't want to have a quotation on, let's say, your second line and then not have another quotation for 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 lines. That's not going to kind of get you the marks you want. So we need to think about layering quotes, having quotes kind of rapidly following on from one another. Embedding your quotes wherever you can is also a really good move. So think about the keywords in the question. Here I've put them in red for you: tense and dramatic. I need to make sure when I'm answering this question, or any question, that I'm really focused on the keywords and that I'm choosing quotations and points that deal directly with those keywords. And it's okay to sort of say tense 2 or 3 times, or tension, or drama, or excitement. You're going to need to come back to those keywords, and it's okay to repeat them. I know a lot of you think that by repeating those keywords, that's the problem. It really isn't. Repeat them to keep you on track. It stops you drifting off. Finally, those keywords, tense and dramatic they're totally interchangeable depending on the paper, whether it's component 1 or component 2, or what the exam is asking you to look at. So it could be, how is this part of the story exciting or engaging, or how is this part of the story horrific? So the idea is, get the skills sorted and then you just tweak it to meet the needs of those keywords, whatever they may be. Here we have an extract from the novel Border Crossing by Pat Barker. I have highlighted 3 things in the first paragraph. I'm not going to read it to you, have a little read, but I've just picked out those 3 things to get me started. And here is an example that I wrote. I am not suggesting this is the world's best piece of writing, but I am suggesting that it's a really good way to start, because I am totally focused on the question, hence sense of tension at the beginning. I have a quotation straight away in my first sentence that will say to the examiner, this student is on the ball, they know what they're doing. So I talk about the writer immediately creates a sense of tension by introducing the third character as a figure. They are mysterious, and the lack of detail creates a sinister feeling for the reader. So I've picked up on the word figure, used it as a quotation, have followed that up with mysterious, with lack of detail. All of that works within this idea of mystery and tension. I'm moving on. Notice how I'm layering my quotes. I'm straight away moving into something else. I'm not labouring the point. The character stopped and looked. suggesting that he is careful and cautious. These verbs emphasize a quiet confidence, which is then magnified when he begins to stride, showing us that something has caught his attention. I'm dealing with the verbs. I've got my subject terminology. I'm dealing with the effect of the verbs. What is the effect of stopped and looked? That he's careful and cautious. Developing that with a kind of sense of confidence as he strides towards whatever he's striding towards. So in that initial start to my exam response, I have got 3 quotations. I've dealt with them all, and I have tension clearly in my sights. On this slide, you have the rest of the story. I'm not going to read it to you again, but do have a look. You're going to have a go at this question in a second. So you've got the beginning, then my example, and now you've got this second section to the story. So complete your response. How does the writer make this part of the story tense and dramatic? I'll try to upload it separately if you want to have it not on a PowerPoint. Spend 10, 12, 15 minutes. My little bit should help to get you started, but do have a go at developing those skills and keeping those skills sharp. We still don't know whether or not we may need them in the future. As an extra, I am also going to upload another text. This one is Crow Lake by Mary Lawson. The question is right there. How does a writer make this part of the story powerful and dramatic? Upload it, print it off, have a look on screen, have a go at answering the question. Use this PowerPoint as a guide to help you. Should be pretty straightforward stuff. All the best, good luck, and hopefully I'll be back in a couple of days with something else for you to do. Take care, guys.